Shir Quali with Rav Gafni, Parsha Shalach. Today is Yud Tes Sivan Hatashin Sonic Tes.
Right, so it's put down, we're turning to the beginning of Parsha Shalach. At the very beginning. And it's brought down in the Gemara, and also brought down in the famous Maimah that the Chassanim repeat or Chazar before the Chufas. That the Frierdiker Rebbe said that Maimah he invited all of the Rabbeim from all the Torahs to come to the Chufah. This is put over there that Rabbi, what did he call in sect of Sophim? That Rabbi, before he opened up with the learning with the Talmidim, and he used to say a milsa de difusa. He used to say how to call a humorous quip or something in a good positive humorous matzah. And that caused everybody to, all the Talmidim, smile a lot, and then after that he would be Yosef V'Eiman so or Pasach B'Shmaita, so that he used to sit down for them to say over Yira, and he would open in the learning. So what we'd like to do is give out, I don't know if it's Naget, well it is to certain of the people. We'd like to say a milsa, not necessarily the b'dichusa, of a milsa in a good noifen, in a freilich noifen, had it got in a happy manner, that we've decided to take down all the kapedas and all the negative inyanim, and all the people who might have been worried about their Shabbos Choifsha don't have to worry anymore, they can all go. Gesundheit on the Shabbos Chofshah, and also we've decided to make the Shabbos Chofshah a little bit longer. It's not throwing a grain to the canary. There's an old saying, lahavdil, in the metaphoric English. So if you want to give a very minor little gift to somebody, then it's called throwing a grain to the canary. So it's not in an over from that, but we decided that everybody can come back on Sunday to be in the Zal for Seder Chassidus. Everybody has to be back in such a way that they'll be in the Zal for Seder Chassidus. In the evening, over here, they can have the whole day of Sunday Adler Sha'ahi, in Yonechem called Chadlifum Shuri Delay. But that means that you've got to come to the ball game. We don't want any messing around and excuses, etc. We hope that everybody will be back punctually in the Zal by Seder Chatzidus on Sunday evening. Mutzlachas and B'miyuchad, but we hope that long before that, Melech HaMashiach, and everybody knows who that is, will be together with us. And we'll all be in the Beis HaMikdash HaShlishi. And we'll all be not Chonila asking questions, how are we going to get into Eretz Yisrael? But we'll be here, all the other Yidden will come on Yanan Ishmaya into Eretz HaKodesh and into Eretz Yisrael. And it will be Mekuyim, Teiva, Ha'oretz, Ma'id, Ma'id. Right, so that's Milsa de V'dichusa. Now we all have to sit down b'yira shamayim or b'eimusa, and we'll have to carry ahead with the Shia. Vayidav Hashem el Moshe leima shlach lecho anoshim. You must send peoples. Vayasuru es eretz Canaan, and they should search out or be matayel, to go through, to tour in Eretz Yisrael or in Eretz Canaan. Asher ani noising livnei Israel, which I'm giving it to the Jewish people. And who are these people that you should send? Ish echad, lematei avesav. It should be a separate person, and a miyuchadik person for each tribe of according to the fathers. Tishlochu, koil nosibahem, and you must send people, preferably who are on the madrega and the level of nasi. But that means leaders of the people in the full sense. And then it's written that Moshe Rabbeinu sent them by Shalach on Moshe mimidbar Parah. Well, that's interesting. Why do we need to be told exactly where it was from? Al Pi Hashem, and it was according to the Eibishter. Kulam Anoshim, Rosh Bnei Israel. They were all Takir people, Anoshim, and they were leaders of the Jewish people. Rosh Bnei Israel. And then it brings all their names, and then it's written right at the end of the whole thing that Vayikra Moshe LaHoshea bin Nun Yehoshua. That Moshe called Hoshea bin Nun, he gave him the name Yehoshua. Now Rashi says over there, why did he call him? Why did he change his name, Moshe Rabbeinu, particularly at that point? So Rashi says, he's palalalo, he davened for him. Moshe Rabbeinu prayed especially for Hoshea, who is now becoming Yehoshua. And the difference between Hoshea and Yehoshua is that you add a yud to the name and it becomes Yehoshua. But the first two letters of the name are Yud K. Rashi says that he was praying for him, Yud K, meaning Hashem, Yoshiacho, he should save you, may access Maraglim from the Eitzah and what you might call the advice or the shitta, the method, the approach of the Maraglim, of spy. Now, up to now, if we look carefully in the pasuk, the word Meraglim hasn't been used. Meraglim means spies. It's a special word, meaning to send people to, how do you call it, sneak out and spy out secretly a country in order to, some way or another, not necessarily do the rest of that country, as they say in Yiddish, to creep in there and gain power. That's what we see over there by Yosef, when his brothers came down and he wanted to put them in an awkward situation and to cause them tsar. Then Yosef said to them, Meraglim atem, you guys are spies, and it was a very negative term. And they said, oh no, cholila v'chas. Oy hayunu, Meraglim, it's not true, we weren't a spy. So all of a sudden Moshe Rabbeinu is reported here as having prayed for Yehoshua ben Nun to save him from the Atzasama Hamaraglim. Was Atkoi, we didn't call them Meraglim. And it's well known, the famous Shiloh of all the great commentators, that if Moshe Rabbeinu already knew that there was such a thing in the world as Atzas Meraglim, it wasn't a positive thing, and he prayed that his very close Talmud, Hoshea bin Nun, should be saved from that whole approach. Then why did he send him? Moshe Rabbeinu knew, or he suspected very actively what they were up to. How do you call it? Sorry, even Godless, they use the expression in the great Mufosha Gemara. What was that all about? So, the cloud asks itself the shaila on the part of the attentive reader in a painful note within the neshama of a yid. When you look at this whole parsha, and we just came from parsha Bahaloischa, whatever, to elevate the neres, and everything's tremendously positive, everything should be going up into, there's something wrong with that switch over there, or something, I think it's black over there. Everything was going up, not like that, but everything was going up with clean flame. And Moshe Rabbeinu said in that parsha to his shver, to Yisrael, he said to him, Noisim anachnu el hamakoyim asher nosan lanu Hashem. We're going now to the place. And ba'oid shleishish yomim, it's almost kemat mafurish in the pasuk. In another 3 days we're going to be in Eretz Yisrael. And everything's just tremendous, all the shvatim are all arranged, and we're told all the tremendous details of how they traveled in the Midbar and the whole thing. They're all ready to come with tremendous pomp and splendor over the yard and into Eretz Yisrael. And all of a sudden there's this unbelievable brachas, it's called in Yiddish. There's tremendous confusion and nefila that occurs with the anoshim that was sent alidei Moshe Rabbeinu, and then the whole thing ends up. Rachmanin Yitzlan, the Yidden stay in the Midbar for another 40 years, and as it's brought down in all the Sfarim and also Mashmeh, but Pashta Yonim, that to a certain extent we're still eating. Rachmanin Yitzlan, as it were, the teitzoyas and the undesirable ashpoyas on Teilus Am Yisrael from that moment. As well known, that the night that they started weeping and making the whole fuss, if you make a careful cheshbon according to the history as we're told, when the Meraglim was sent, there was B'diuk Tisha B'Av. And me-az, Tisha B'Av was nikvu l'yem b'chiyah l'doira. And here we have Bashgacha Pratis, a whole group of guys went to the place where Yidden have tried to make in some minimal way, they've tried to make a tremendous zikorin to all the millions that passed away in a war that began on that day. The Second World War began on Tisha B'Av. So did the First World War, or round about. And the union of Kofches Sivan, which is coming over, that's the day that Melech HaMashiach came to America. That's after the war was already in process. But that was the day that the Nazis opened their invasion on those parts of Europe. And the Rebbe arrived in America, and that was the court that stopped what would have doubtless been complete conquering of the whole world. And it was the answer to this whole union, and began the message of we want Mashiach now, in the face of that unbelievable tragedy. Everything's hashgacha pratis, but people went to visit Mochim Yidden have tried to be made him al neis, the zikaron of all the people that were nispu in what is called the shoya edifan. That was one of the reasons why I gave my skoma that they should go. However, ask yourself the shaila, why on earth, and what was this whole union at the Meraglim? What was lacking? Everything was, they were moving to go. Moshe Rabbeinu said, here we are. It wasn't a whole union of sending Meraglim and waiting on their reply, and then putting Yidden into such a trial and such a matzav of delicate sakona, when you're playing with human minds and you can't be sure what they're gonna come up with, as the expression has it. Why was it all necessary? What was this whole terrible bracha and nefila that occurred alidei? So we see that there's a famous Rashi at the beginning of the parsha. What nobody understands, Rashi, and everybody turns him upside down in the pan like a holy pancake, trying some way or another to work out what is Rashi really saying and how many different factors he seems to be dealing with. So we can't possibly hope that we're going to settle the whole Rashi, but maybe we'll pick up one or two inyonim to lead us into an inquiry in the whole matter. Shalach lecha anashim, lama nishmecha parsha maraglim lepasha. I'm sorry, that's already another Indian. That's not the Rashi. Shalach lecha, you must send for yourself literally. So Rashi says l'daitcha. Shalach lecha means according to your opinion, according to how it comes out in your mind, meaning Moshe Rabbeinu. But you should send according to your mind, your decision. Ani, if it were me, says the Eibishter, ain't a mitzaver l'chot. I'm not going to command you to send these people. Im tiltze, if you should want, shlach. If you should want, then send them. Lefi shabo Yisrael, Yidden came via Omru, and we're mamish going over to the Yarden now. And all of a sudden Yidden come along. Nishlecha anoshim lefaneinu. We should send people in front of it. K'moshe ne'amar, later on in Sefer Dvarim, Moshe Rabbeinu tells the whole story all over again, and he says, "V'tikruvun elai kulchem." All of you came in front of me, and you asked that this should be done. So, I mean, what on earth is going on in the minds of all the Jews? All the Yidden came to Moshe Rabbeinu, and they said, "We want to send these people." Well, Moshe nimlach b'shechina. Moshe asked advice. The word nimlach means to ask advice. B'shechina, by the Eibishter. Oma, once again, the Eibishter plays hard to get. And he says, Ani amati lahem shehi toiva. I told them that it's good. Shenema, ale eschem mi oni mitzrayim el eretz. Zovus Cholavud Vash is written over there in Pasha Va'ero. Chayehem. Now we see again this expression, Chayehem. And we saw in last week's Pasha, Bekesha to the news with Aaron, Chayecho. Over there he said, by the way of your life, literally. And here he says it in the plural, the Eibishter, by the way of your lives. In other words, or by the way of their lives. And Rashi, it appears, understands that as being like an oath on the part of Hashem. As it's brought down in certain places, that's Loshen Shavua. That's like an oath on the part of Hashem. Shani noisen lohem mokim litois. I'm giving them a place to make a mistake, all the Jews. But divrei amaraglim, in the words of these people that you're sending, laman lo yirashua, in order that they shouldn't inherit Eretz Yisrael. I've once again the word meraglim. We didn't use the word meraglim. We didn't say they were spies. And all of a sudden the Hebrews said, in order they shouldn't go into Eretz Yisrael. This is unbelievable. The Hebrews says, I didn't tell you, but you do it, and don't ask me. But if you do ask me, then I say you don't need it. But if you do it, then this is. It's kilo like halach v'shoy, going back and forth. And it ends up on a terrible sharp note that he says you should realize, and this is an oath that I'm making, that I'm not going to take him in. So if you were Moshe Rabbeinu and you heard that, he just said, let's keep away from this. I mean, this is just absolutely, how do you call it, explosive material of the most terrible sort. Guys, forget about it. Moshe Rabbeinu should get up, made a speech. He could have made one of these, addresses to the whole people. Like this Muslimi made a speech the last few days. Moshe Rabbeinu, $1 billion, should have got up and he should have told the whole people, forget it. Gandhi. Afu Pekei, what's the next pasuk say? V'yishlach Osam Moshe. And the pasuk even blames Hashem, Al Pi Hashem. He sent him Al Pi. It wasn't Al Pi Hashem. Hashem said, don't do it, man. But I've told you already, what are you coming back asking me a second time? Cholila v'chas, it's not going to bring good results. No, Yishlach Hashem Moshe Al Pi Hashem. And then we see that Moshe Rabbeinu prays for Yeshua that you shouldn't fall into their hands. If you knew that somebody's going to fall into their hands, why are you sending them? It's well known that Rashi is tremendously puzzling, and almost all the great authorities from the moment that Rashi wrote that, Ad Rega Hazeh, have been mefalpul b'dvarav hakadoshim. So we're going to also try our own little modest attempt to try and sort something out. Who? It's brought down that Moshe, the Rebbe said to Moshe, Shalach lecho anashim. And then we see who these anashim. Who are they? Moshe Rabbeinu reckoned them out, and the Rebbe didn't do anything without. Moshe didn't do anything without the Rebbe. These are people that he must have somehow or another gained at least the okay from Hashem, or at least he must have informed Hashem that these are the people who are ascending. And who are they? Nasi Bohem, the Nasiim of the tribes, leaders of the Jewish people in the higher sense. So if you were sending them as spies to spy out the military situation, Kival, you have to go to the general of the army and you have to ask him, who are you? Give me, a few guys, give me 2 or 3 guys, 4, 5, who are really hot knotters in military intelligence and in military hocus pocus, that they should be able to go into the land and spy around and see what's going on. And they'll bring us back a careful report, and if they see a big city, they'll be able to know where the weak point is, and they won't be so mispulled from it. If they see a lot of guys straying around, they say, oh, we've got an answer to that. I mean, that's what experienced soldiers are like. They're very self-confident. They're not put off by the enemy. And why did Moshe Rabbeinu do that? Now, Moshe Rabbeinu sends a list to the Eivishter, Oil Nasi Bohem. Now, these guys, as we see, Takir, they didn't know the hands from their feet in military union. They have gorgeous niguas, kashum in military. They get in there outside and they walk around here and they don't know what's going on. What on earth was that? So we have to say, and later we'll come to another shit, just briefly we'll mention another shit in the whole Indian. Well, it's not Rashi shit or L'choira. And that is, we have to say that Moshe Rabbeinu saw this whole Indian as a ruchnistic Indian. A Indian ruchni and a Indian gavoya ma'id, that after the Yidden all came to him and pressed him that it should be done, Moshe Rabbeinu was machlit that this was an Indian ra'ui and it would be al pi Hashem, and the Indian musuyam, it was al pi Hashem. Dainu, that we went to take the most holy people possible amongst the Jewish people, somehow or another put them over in the Eretz Yisrael, and they should act like the way they act and the way they know how to act. That'll be poil as how do we call effect on a hashpur in Eretz Yisrael, and that will cause a tremendous gilel kurs, and what you might call kiru hanetzutzes, inyanim of that sort. That afterwards it'll just be a natural thing that the military will be able to go in and just, there won't be any shilat klal as to the easiness and the collapse of all the clippers of the Shiva Umesh, what they represent, the Koicha clippers, V'chulu. And therefore Moshe Rabbeinu was of that opinion, and it's brought down in the words of the Rav Leitz. It's a famous passage in his Sefer, Rav Leitz B'Tichua. He says that if a Yid, it's very similar to what's brought down in our Yom Yom. The B'Tichua said if a Yid comes in a place and he himself can't figure what's he really doing in this place, but if he decides that he's going to serve Hashem in that place, and he just leaves behind anything, when he mamish does something there to serve the Eibusha, let's say he davens, or he learns Torah, or he does some other Indian, but he does it purely in order to serve the Eibusha, then all the clippers and all the Inyanim fall in such a way that they become bottled to him, and then he can just, as it were, tread around in that whole area, and he's in charge, as it were. He's how do you call it? The Inyanim will follow him, not that he will be any way governed by the Inyan. As is that the Buddha. A very amazing idea. So he says, Moshe Rabbeinu took these highest people, sent them into Eretz HaKodesh, bichdei, that they should go ahead and serve the Eibishter, each one according to his level. 12 different Bechina. The Shvatim are all different levels in Avodas Hashem. Now each of them should carry out a special form of Avodah in Eretz Yisrael, and therefore he says, Shalach lecho anoshim. So he said the word anoshim means human. It means human being. So he said that Moshe Rabbeinu wanted of these people, Shalach lecho anoshim, you must send away your humanness. Don't see yourself as a human being anymore, but see yourself as a shliach of the Eibishter to bring a bittul in that particular part of Eretz Yisrael, which is for you. You don't yet know what it is. It hasn't been yet decided exactly where you're going to be, but you've got a part in Eretz Yisrael, you and your whole shevet. You just got to do over there what you would normally do here, and do it b'kol ha'islavos, b'kol ha'shleimus, and the whole of Eretz Yisrael just get ready. And even we say, where are the Yidden here? Let them come in. Ad kadikach, as the Svarim, the Mamish Svarim from the Talmudiya Baal Shem Tov, where they say Dvar Pele, of its Mamish Azoi, and they say, if you go back to the beginning of Bereshit, that what happened on the third or the fourth day of the creation was that the trees were supposed to be Azoya, and there was supposed to be something else. They didn't exactly. So the Rashi brings over there, Dave should blame the earth. I said the earth didn't listen to what he said exactly. It brought out the wrong type of tree. It didn't listen to him, and therefore the earth got punished. And Dave says that the earth is going to be cursed for not having listened to me. So these guys will say, what's that? The earth is just the earth, wasn't it? So they say no, that's Dvar Pele. And they say that the earth has got das, and the earth and the ground, everything in the creation has awareness. And that the earth, depending where it is, it's got very high recognition of what's really supposed to be the case according to the Ratzon of the Eibishter, and therefore there's a difference according to the Gemara between what's called Eretz Ha'amim, the countries of Chutz La'aretz, and Eretz Yisrael. And therefore when the Chachamim were Geizer Tumah in different places in the world, they were Geizer Tumah that a few of the earth of the Eretz Ha'amim, of the foreign countries, is Tumah. You just walk into, you go to certain Tumah on itself. You just go across the Chutz La'aretz Be'ezim Mochim Shelo Yiyeh. On Eretz Yisrael, they weren't Geizer in Eretz Yisrael. So say these great authorities that the earth is able to literally be aware of what Hashem wants, and it's anxious to fix up what it did in the days of the creation. And therefore the earth listens and knows and everything. And therefore, in Sefer Dvarim, it's written that Moshe Rabbeinu sent the Meraglim, Lachpoyer es ha'oretz. Not to spy out the ground, but Lachpoyer. Now, if you happen to have learned about Basha, then the second parak is called Lo Yachpoyer. You shouldn't dig. The word Lachpoyer means to dig. You shouldn't dig alongside the wall of your friend that comes some miles to do it. And the word Yachpoyer means to dig. So what was he sending them around to dig into the ground? What was that? So these great Talmudim of the Baal Shem Tov know. The whole purpose of the Meraglim was to dig under the surface of the ground and get to the pneumius of the ground, get to the pneumius of Eretz Yisrael. And the pneumius of Eretz Yisrael wants only the Yidden, and the pneumius of Eretz Yisrael straight. We want Mashiach now. We want Gilui Elokus, we want the Vesa Hamikdash. If they would have done the right thing, then they would have prepared the earth of Eretz Yisrael. It would have been ready. And the Yidden would have just marched in, and the earth would have embraced them and received them, and all the cities, all the rest would have just fallen, chick-chack. and the Goyim would have got out. Those who didn't want this, they might have shown them some of the whole Shiloh, you can be receiving them, but they got to do it. Or would have been absolutely picked as every Moshe Rabbeinu told them, Ein Malach Shosh Klau. That the earth, and therefore, if you travel today, in most parts of Eretz Yisrael, travel in the Shomron. You know what the Shomron is, B'chlav? Travel in Yehuda, other places in Eretz Yisrael. You go up to Shechem and all those places, you see just a lot of all sort of funny-looking ground all over the place. That seems to be very, sort of a bit of grass here and there, and that's it. I say it's been ever since Churban Bayis Shem. I say it's been. But you talk to people who understand what goes on in the Shomron, and if they would be allowed to look after the Shomron by the so-called Mishugoyim that call themselves the Israeli government, that they would be allowed to treat the ground and look after it the way they're really supposed to, they say that there's a certain, like Shichfor, how do you call it, a certain level at the top of the earth, all over Yehuda Shomron, and once you get underneath that, there's this unbelievable earth, a fruitful earth, and all sorts of chemicals in it that they're finding in this earth. And underneath the whole parts of Yerushalayim, and going all the way over into Hebron and all around it, they found these huge underground, where's the Australians around here, what they call them artesian bores, The Australians around here, you're from Australia. You know what an artesian bore is? I don't even know what it is. These guys here, they don't even know what they're doing. They live in Australia, they don't know artesian bores. Yeah, underground water. Underground water in huge quantities. Huge. They say enough to keep the whole of Earth going till you name the day. And most of it, Rahman in Islam. Rahman in Islam. Why don't they make a whole big thing about it? Because they're hoping to give it to the Arabs. Not just they're planning, they're hoping. And they're taking this absolutely Meshuggah Muslim, and they're pumping into him that we have to give it all away. And so he, like a huge parrot, is going around the world saying, the Jews have to give away the Holy Land. He's gone to all his friends, the Muslims, all over the place. And they all said, of course, absolutely. He said, Now he's gone to Germany. I mean, so they're for sure going to say, what do you need Jews for, B'chlav? And he'll say, Eino Chanami. So what happened just before that? There was a big meeting in Switzerland. But they are the biggest haters of the Jews that have ever been. In Switzerland, there was a big meeting, and they invited the Nasi of Iran, and he kissed and shook hands with the Prime Minister of Switzerland. And what did he say? He said in front of the whole world, all the cameras, that there was no such thing as the Shoah. That's what he believed. He doesn't believe it, but that's what he wants to say in order to justify his own Matziyah. Because he's Hitler, a lot worse. The Far he said there was no such thing as the Shoah, it's all just a bluff, never happened. And the Swiss Prime Minister pushed him and shook his hand and the whole month. So a few of the Goyim walked out when he spoke. The whole thing didn't stop. A few of them walked out. Well, they walked out to smoke a cigarette on the outside. Imamela, what's come to it? Mario tell me that the Yidden, Rahman and Islam, they've told this Muslimi, and he's making tremendous benefit. He's going around the world. Because the only thing that kept the Goyim in some way agreeing that Yidden should exist is the Shoah. It's a little bit of a sort of Rahman. 600 million of these guys all got, wiped off the map in the most terrible way. It's a little bit of Rahman. It doesn't quite fit into the, into the international moral system to back a thing like that. It's not all that terrible, but, it doesn't quite fit. Or if you prove that that doesn't exist, or you just convince everybody that it doesn't exist, why should we have the Yidden? Who wants them to come? It's easy. 2 and 2 is 4. Mom is 2 and 2 is 4. Just before he started taking over the whole master, well, that's what they did. They made this whole thing in Switzerland. Why in Switzerland? Because everybody said, oh, Switzerland, just nothing. Oh, they are. They hold all the money. Trillions of it. In the Meshuggah bank. Plus, that they're holding all the money from all the Yidden in the Shoya. All of it is in their bank. Because the Nazis put it into their banks and they never gave it back to anybody. So their Prime Minister kushed it with them Hitler, but he says there was no Shoya. And then immediately after that, he comes, this big Muslimi, he comes now, the American, he comes into the world, he's going around, and he said that in his speech, he said that the Palestinians are suffering just like the Shoya. There's no real difference between them and the Shoya. Another way of getting rid of the Shoya. The Palestinians, they've got everything. I mean, they're using all electricity, all of our benzene, all of everything. Everything we got goes into them for nothing. We don't take a penny for it. The Chevrat HaChashmal takes huge amounts of money from every citizen. From the whole Palestinian Rashut, doesn't take a penny. That supplies all their electricity. You guys are sitting around like a bunch of Batlonim. You don't know what's happening in the world. Come to it that he's made now that these Palestinians are suffering a Shoya. They're suffering a Shoya. So come to it, the Shoyas are up. There's no Shoya anymore. The Palestinians are the ones who are suffering the Shoya. There was never any Shoya by them. You know, who needs the Yidden? So they're making now a big, they're going to make a big conference in Madrid, and the idiot over here, he said he's going to go, of course, oh yes, he's going to go, and he's going to find a piece of paper which is going to say, sign here, without to sign away Yerushalayim. Sign here, without to sign away the Koisel. Sign here, without to sign away the Golan. Sign here, and he'll say, oh, yes, I have no problem. I'm just a Yid, you know, these guys are, so he'll just sign on the dotted line, and that'll be it. So, where did it all begin? It began from here. It began from here. So I asked myself to Shiloh, what on earth happened here, and what was it went wrong? So Moshe Rabbeinu said that you guys have got to go in, and you got to, over the emissaries, that Eretz Yisrael doesn't want anybody but the Yidden. And Berega, which you would bring back the Yidden into Eretz Yisrael, and you would bring them back al Pitoira, not al Pitiyas, but you would bring them back al Pitoira, the whole of Eretz Yisrael would change its face, and the most unbelievable. Even when the Yidden were sinning in the Shomron, it's put down in Medrashim that the ground was growing, it's impossible to imagine. In human terms, and the Gemara says, Masechta Brachas, that the fruits in Eretz Yisrael made certain of the great Chachamim shikah. They just made a barapu ate, and they ate a bit of the fruit, and they would lose their whole ability to hold their consciousness together. So powerful are the fruits of Eretz Yisrael. Meaning that it's all there. It's under this weird sort of nothing type of shikha. It's only a few inches, the whole thing, all over Eretz Yisrael. For what? Because the Yidden left Eretz Yisrael, and so the earth of Eretz Yisrael says, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And the Ramban says, in Pasha B'Chukoisai, the Ramban says that the whole earth of Eretz Yisrael turned a sour face to the Goy. For the moment that the Yidden were driven out. That's what he said. And he even compares it to a certain Indian, which is not Kirai, maybe the Chazar in front of Bochum. Yet if this is up to Imam comes along, Moshe Rabbeinu, and he had this most amazing idea that we're going to get the whole Eretz is going to be ready. It's just going to be a walk-in, and everything's going to be a spiritual, ruchniistic, amazing idea that Moshe Rabbeinu came up with, and therefore he sent Anoshim. Rashi says, Anoshim, Ein Anoshim El Tzadikim. These guys were very, very high madrega. And the whole purpose was to send them into Tzad. They should serve the Eivsha, and like the B'ditchua says, to bring all the nitzutzis and all the inyanim completely betailim to them, even the earth, the physical earth. Will just receive the Yidden, everything will be ready. So I thought to Shalach, what on earth? What on earth? What's the Nish given good? Now, according to the Ramban and the Rabbeinu B'chai, they say that this was purely a military matter. But it gets a little bit complex. If we say it was purely a military matter, they should have sent soldiers, like we said. They should have sent the best military experts, and you didn't need to have 12 of them. Didn't need to have 12 of them. But anyway, the Rabbeinu B'chai and the Ramban, they say that Moshe Rabbeinu saw that we were moving into Eretz Yisrael, and before you go to war, in those days, particularly, you didn't have radars and all sorts of amazing intelligence gigors and all sorts of nices. It was a proper thing to send in spies to be boided to Matzav, to see and prepare militarily what should be the best way to go in. What's the best way to enter, and what's the best, which cities to watch carefully, and others to go around them, and so on and so forth. It's up to Rabbeinu B'chai. And so therefore, they hold that it was a purely military stuff. Now, if that's the case, it's a little bit muksha, even though it's a big argument, a big, was saying kind of mocking to go into the whole thing. So it's a little bit more b'derech hapshat, why the Meraglim, messed the whole thing, because they want real military. So of course they want military people. So we have to say to the Shittas Ramban, the reason they sent all these big people and not military experts was that they wanted that there should also be Ashpar Ruchnias in the spying. Remember, they were sent to spy the country. According to Moshe Rabbeinu, and according to Rashi's view of Moshe Rabbeinu's Indian in there, they weren't sent to spy anything. Absolutely not. They were sent to be mashpia into the Torah. And the Father Alter Rebbe brings in the Likutei Torah that it's bedugma, the way you make a bracha before you do a mitzvah. That we make a bracha before we do a mitzvah, don't we? I don't know what you're messing around with, but you've already got him very, very interestedly studying what you're up to. So. Israel, a bracha on a mitzvah, what is it? Why do we need to make a bracha when we do a mitzvah? When you make a bracha, you prepare, or that physical thing, and you prepare that inyan in Gashmias to be makabel, the divine light that you want to bring down holiday the mitzvah, and you cause the whole inyan in the world, which is connected with that inyan, also, and that's therefore we say that the brachas are what's called in the Gemara oiver liasiyosa. They have to be prior to your making the act. You can't make a bracha after you've done. Well, you can be David in some cases. Why before you do the inyan? Oiver liasiyosa. Our sages could have said lifnei shatoseh. Why do they say over liasiyosa? So the Alter Rebbe is masber that over means like something passes over. When you make the bracha, you cause a whole change in the situation, and then the Elikus comes in, which moves from one place or level to another. The Meraglim were Moshe Rabbeinu's business mitzvahs. Moshe Rabbeinu sent these Meraglim into the country to bring a whole preparation in the Dor Gashmi. And another inyan in that same idea was that we see that Moshe Rabbeinu was Re'iyah. Yeah, Moshe Rabbeinu's inyan was seeing Elikus. He had the madrega from Re'iyah. Yeah, this is well known. That the Eibusha showed everything to Moshe Rabbeinu. He saw everything, but did it real. And I remember Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to be mamshich into Eretz Yisrael, a madrega from Rio, so that when Yidden would come into Eretz Yisrael, they would have a tremendous control over the whole situation. They would literally see Elokus, they'd be bottled, betachlis to the rotzen of the Eivishter, and everything would once again just be a spiritual in. Absolutely. And the whole war would just be, sort of koruch, just in the spiritual inyan. And that's according to Rashi, and that's Bilti Sophic. According to the whole inyan of Rashi, Arum and Arum, and to according to many of the great proportion, that's what it's all about. I feel a divrei Ramban, that it was a military inyan. I feel a shitozon, then we have to say that it was also using the schus of the ruknis of these people to be poyer. So what went wrong? What didn't work out good? It came out of this whole inyan. So that's why Moshe Rabbeinu said to Hoshea, I'm praying to the Eivishter for you to save you from the Atzas Amaraglim. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't send these guys to be Meraglim. He didn't send them to be spies. He didn't send them to act like spies either. No, but then there was such a thing in the world. It was blowing around, and it was getting around, and maybe these leaders that were sent in there might also happen that maybe there was a union of being spies. Maybe we should just send spies to look out and to see what is the best way to get in there militarily. And therefore, Moshe Rabbeinu said to Yeshua, I'm praying for you, man, don't fall into that idea. Because if you fall into being just a natural man, you're just a military representative to spy the country out, then that's going to blow my whole Kavanah. It's going to blow everything. I feel according to the Ramban. It's going to blow the whole Nakuda, and everything's going to collapse. So what happened was that these guys knew very well, even before they went, and they were not trying to be Meraglim Mitadetz and Madrigoso. What fell into the whole thing? They came up with an idea, and they said, Gewalt, Geschrien, you know what, let's be Meraglim, let's be spies, and let's bring this whole thing down into another inyan altogether. Dahainu, who needs to go into Eretz? Who needs to go into Eretz? Me tzarich. So the Alter Rebbe is Masber, the famous shitta that comes down through all the generations. Taki, what does it mean? Excuse me there. I know these Chumoshim have very interesting pirushim, but I don't sit here in order that other people should study pirushim in the Chumoshim. Erefa, Kumtais, they were of the opinion, these guys, that maybe it wasn't such a good idea, the whole idea of going into Eretz Yisrael. And so how on earth could they think such a thing? So the famous example of view on that which occurs in Siddur is that it's much easier to be a spiritual person than to be a spiritual Gashmi person. Did that thing go? Isn't it hot all of a sudden here? Maybe I'm just warming up. So everybody says, well, he's warming up, or we're all going down. They said, who needs to go into Eretz Yisrael? And the Alter Rebbe goes to great lengths to explain why did they not want to go into Eretz Yisrael. But they said it's much easier to be, and it's much better, and ultimately to be better for everybody, if we're just spiritual people. And you got them all over the world. You got them in the Himalayas, you got them in Chayesvu. That they're very high people, and they got all sorts of very, very elevated shtikla. And they get up there, and they just, and they live, and they just, exist, and they all conk out, and others come in their places, That is unbelievable spirituality. Unbelievable spirituality. So what happens to a lot of Yidden? A lot of Yidden run over there with big, goggle eyes, Himalayas, Buddhism, Shmuddhism, the whole mass, and all sorts of other Indian, apart from Buddhism. And they get over there, and what happens to a lot of them? There's a Meshuggah base Chabad. All of a sudden they meet up with some guy. He doesn't look like a Himalayan, or he doesn't look like a Buddhist, or his face was. He looks a little bit different because he has a beard, and he tells them there's such a thing as mitzvah mitzvahs. I say, mitzvahs? You know, what on earth does that mean? He said, oh yeah, put on tefillin, man. I said, put on tefillin? Oh, yours. I was by mitzvah, put on. If you're lucky, I put on tefillin. I said, what does he tell them? He tells them that there's another thing in the world. You don't have to be over there. You can stand in the middle of the Tachana, Merkozi is. And you can put on tefillin. I mean, I don't recommend that. It's the only way you put on tefillin. And you can bring down Elokus into the world, and you can bring the whole world to its ultimate tachlis, and you can have much greater spirituality than all the Himalayas together. And one of our Talmidim once went into Yechidus with the Rebbe. And he said, Rebbe, I'm working very hard in Kwachabad. And he said, I like all the spirituality. He said, I would like to go into my room and just, meditate. I'd like to, sort of stand on my head or something. And I'll just, meditate. Well, I do this business with davening, I've got to walk 3 paces back, and I've got 3 paces here, and do this, and listen to some guy shraying, he's thrown out there by the Omer, and something here, and something here. Well, I need to, if I just go up to my room, and I'll lock myself up, I'll stand on my head, and I'll be in the Himalayas, Well, that'll be good. So the Rebbe said to him, I promise you, that if you will daven b'tzibur, according to Shulchan Aruch, even though you may not look as if you're getting anything much out of it, you write me a letter in another couple of months, and you tell me what sort of spirituality you're experiencing, and if it compares with what you would have got in the Himalayas. That's what I said to him. But you got to daven al pi Shulchan Aruch, and you got to be in the minyan. You can't be sloughing in the dormitory. You got to be in the minyan. And one or two, I know if you went to a mikveh beforehand. And that's what the Rebbe said to him. And I know who the guy is. I mean, I could even identify him to you. I don't want to do it. And 2 months later, on the bullseye, he wrote to Rebbe, thank you, you're right. Now what he said to him? And I remember, that's exactly what the Meraglim could not have. They could not understand how can I go into a soul and drain around with all these inyan and be here and be there and be somewhere else. And if I grow in the ground, I've got to give mice and I've got to give shichu, pay, and I've got to be here and I've got to be there. And I've got to rush to the base Knesset at the end of the day, and I've got to daven Shema and Shemoneh Esrei and all sorts of inyanim and tachan and hin and her. How can I possibly be a spiritual man? I mean, Eretz Ocheles es yoshpeya. The earth will eat me up. And pink for care. Exactly the opposite. Dafki ali deyzeh, you'll be an eminence spiritual man, and you bring other spiritual children into the world, and you conquer the whole world, and you bring. Yeah, we want Moshiach now to be an eminence poil man. But you got to listen to Moshe Rabbeinu. You got to do it Moshe Rabbeinu's way. And so we could say that what is the in here? These guys were big people. So some people say they had no emunah. Well, they didn't have emunah. I mean, they must have believed in the Abraham. They had payers this long. You know what they were tremendous guys. These guys. What if they didn't have emunah? It is that emunah is a very tricky game. Emunah is a very, very tricky game. What do we spend? Or the Adam spends a lot of his time believing in Hashem the way he understands that Hashem should do it. And he says, oh yeah, I believe in the Abish ain't saved, and the Abish is this, and the Abish is something else, and the Abish should create all the worlds, but he's got to do it my way. Yeah, as long as the Abish is my way, I'll prepare to put up a little bit of hardship, I'm very heroic, and I don't mind, but ultimately speaking, the Abish was made for me. In other words, I believe in him and I trust him, and it's all sinless, but as long as he does it, it'll come out my way. And I have on, on the X Street in Borough Park, I have a beautiful base medrash, and it's got the latest air conditioning, and it's mamish folding, and it's got all the beautiful up-to-date buttons and everything. And just, if you give me a Zahab base medrash, and I can learn, and nobody trades me a cup, I can go in, I can learn, I can do my panasa on Wall Street, I go on and play with my computer, I'll make a couple of $1,000 a month, and you just leave me alone in my base of medrash, and the whole world, all the Schwarzes and everything, just trade that cup, and I'm in my base of medrash, and that's it. You tell me about Mashiach. Are you crazy, man? What I need Mashiach? What was that? That came, 3 o'clock, and 4 hours, so people are going to stop me, and I'm going to be out there in the rest. And I checked. Look at these old Mashiach and all the Babbages. They go into the 770s and they stop one another. They don't have any manucha. Blows me up. He's right. What could be better? Have you ever been to one of these base mattresses? It's great. That's unbelievable. All the Sfarim are beautiful Sfarim. All the Mari McCreamers and everything. You become a girl in a couple of weeks over there. Just it is, it's mamish gewaldig. You've got a computer in the back room there. You go and you get up all this poskim and everything on the computer. You do everything you want. That's gewaldig. You go into all the Babbage basement, the air conditioner's breaking down the whole time. Well, if you want to have the air conditioner, you got to put in a coin, otherwise you don't get it. What is it again? What's it? These guys are right. So comes along Moshe Rabbeinu. And Moshe Rabbeinu says, you guys believe in the Eibishter, but you don't believe in the Eibishter according to the Kavanah Eliyana. You believe in the Eibishter according to what you understand. Understanding Emunah are 2 things. Emunah is much higher than understanding. But with soft called soft, you believe in the Eibishter according to your little pot. What does it? Gosh, I've got it. I remember one of my great mashpim. He said, "Leishas hapanimei." The old thing they couldn't talk very well. He said, "Leishas hapanimei." He said, you take it in a little envelope, and you put the whole great apes inside your little envelope, and you put it in your pocket. He said, "That's your emunah." I remember when he said that to me. I just smiled. I could see he was right. I remember that's the problem with the Meraglim. The Meraglim were unbelievably great people. And they had, like I said, I don't have anything against the people who wear payers. Gesund today, they had long payers and they had everything. They had hours where they wanted, and they had a base medrash sitting over there in some place in the Midbar dot, in Midbar Paran or somewhere. They had a nice little base medrash with air conditioning or whatever they had in those days. And that was their whole problem. And therefore Moshe Rabbeinu wanted them, they should go in and learn in Eretz Yisrael and do their avodah. So they said, what do we need this for? We'll turn ourselves into Meraglim. We'll make a whole spiel, and we'll be another Matthias altogether, another blow the whole idea, and we'll be able to stay in them. And deep inside, each and every one of us has got that problem. What do I need this whole Mashiach thing for? I got a nice weekend coming up now. Let me enjoy my weekend, and after that Mashiach will be able to come. No, it's going to happen now. Who says? Oh yeah, who says? Moshe Rabbeinu says. That's the whole thing. That the Indian is, you've got to have your emunah by Yaminu B'Hashem or Moshe Av. It's got to go through Moshe Rabbeinu. And if I Korev and Yeshua, they were the ones who knew that. And then when the trouble started off, what did Korev do? Vayas Korev Esoam El Moshe. That he made everybody quiet, and he said, let's listen to Moshe Rabbeinu. I said, Moshe Rabbeinu, he's just a boss that's in our way. Oh, no. If you don't listen to him, then what will happen? We'll all be stuck. And you're talking to be stuck, you get to Midbar. High Midbar, the Alter Rebbe's Masber in Mechut. Midbar is a very high madrega. I mean, the whole thing over there, before Shavuos, the Alter Rebbe's Marich Atzuma, the mile of the Midbar. It's him. This doesn't the ultimate kavanah. That's not the purpose. So Moshe Rabbeinu, what's the difference? When you are locked up in the beauty of your base medrash and the whole Inyan, then that is you and Yiddishkeit. But Moshe Rabbeinu shows you what we really want from the whole thing. And Moshe Rabbeinu's Inyan is what's got to be done. What is the kavanah? So I remember I once asked an old chassid, what is the difference between a mature person and an immature person? He said, you can have a beer down on the ground and you can be immature. He said, for worse, because immature means that you do things for your own benefit. You live a very beautiful life, a spiritual life, of ultimately you're aiming for your own self. And he says, maturity is that you do it only for the sake of the kavanah. You forget about yourself. And you only consider what is the ultimate kavanah. En daarvan, dat is die Indian van alle nalen. That Kalev and Yeshua said, we can go up alle nalen. Why have to say it twice? Let's talk to twee more. We'll go over there. Alle nalen. I saw that Thomas from the Mission Chamaki. He's not so well known. And he says, because Oloi means you've got to connect yourself with Moshe Rabbeinu first. And then you can go in. And therefore, Oloi means, first of all, Vayas, Kolev is Amo Moshe. Hook yourself up with Moshe Rabbeinu, then you go and do it. And you do it entirely according to Moshe Rabbeinu. Oh, so much. And what is the proof? That what happened after the Homais? Look at what happened after the Homais. The Mapilim, you know the Mapilim are these guys, they said after the whole thing, Moshe Rabbeinu said, it's all been blown, we've got to stay 40 years in the Midbar. So there was a whole group of guys that said, oh yes, tomorrow morning we're going up the mountain, we're going into Eretz Yisrael. You remember these guys? That's written in the Parashah. And they're called the Mapilim. And they said, oh, we're going into Eretz Yisrael. Oh yes, you're right, Moshe. Here we go. Moshe was, oh no, don't go, I'm sorry. It's too late, it's not good. What happened to them? Rahman came the Amaleki, Dafka Amalek. And Rahman killed them all off, Hashem Yirach. So if you look in Perikov Tes in Tanya, right at the end of Perikov Tes, what is he over there? The Alter Rebbe says the whole thing, about 25 lines, Alter Rebbe writes the whole meaning, Moshe B'Shleiman. And the Alter Rebbe says over there that the trouble with the Meraglim was that deep inside, they came to a conclusion that Hashem can't do it. How on earth could they come to the conclusion Hashem can't do it? They would just curl Nasiba. Now the Taish says, if you lock yourself up in your base of Medrash, and you say this is the whole tachlis of spiritual life, then eventually you could fall into the wrong idea and you can believe that Hashem's not as omnipotent as what people say he is. And that's what happened. Rahman in Islam. And the fact, the Gemara says, and Rashi brings it, the Gemara said, Masecta Seita, they said, Chichozuku mimenu, yeah? So the Gemara says in Seita, Al tikra mimenu ela mimenu. So, Al tikra mimenu ela mimenu. Well, it depends on the grammar, how you say, Al tikra mimenu, mimenu. I'm not such a grammar teacher. But one way means it's stronger than us, the other way means it's stronger than him. That they said it's even too strong for the Eibishter. Even he can't do it. What did I say Eibishter can't do it? Well, then you believe that you got your Yiddishkeit, and you believe, and then it just seems that that's not Shayach, that this can't be, that if it can't be, the Eibishter can't do it. And that's what the Alter Rebbe was looking Tanya, the Alter Rebbe said that's what the Meraglim ended up with. They ended up with saying that he can't do it. And if they believe he can't do it, Gorach Kefela. Should have what done to them. So what happened? Moshe Rabbeinu shrayed them out. Moshe Rabbeinu gave out this terrible thing that Hashem said. And then all of a sudden we see that they all said, oh yes, here we are. So the Alter Rebbe said, what happened with that? I mean, they don't believe that Hashem can do it. And then all of a sudden they say, well, here we go. And the Taish says that a Yid really does believe it. And a Yid really knows, and he knows the truth. And deep inside he knows what's the emes. And he knows that we can do it, and we have to do it. But the Amalek inside him doesn't let him do it. As they state, look it up in Tanya. And Moshe Rabbeinu, when Moshe Rabbeinu shrays, then even Amalek runs and hides in his hole. And so Moshe Rabbeinu shrayed, so they all came to the emes of recognition of what they really believe, and they said, oh yeah, tomorrow morning we ashkimu babayke, and never give a clue what happened to it. So what's wrong there? I mean, what went wrong? All of a sudden they got back the emes of recognition, and boom, it doesn't go. What happened? Because they didn't ask Moshe Rabbeinu. They go back to emes of Emunah, and they knew what they're supposed to do, but there was one point lacking. Check it out with Moshe Rabbeinu. Ask him if that's what we're supposed to do right now. I said, oh, no. So Moshe Rabbeinu said, listen, guys, don't do it. So we see that there's a hechreach here, that the union of Emes Amunah with Moshe Rabbeinu. Who can reveal to you the Emes Amunah is Moshe Rabbeinu, and who makes the decision ultimately what is the Tachlis Vaita Moshe Rabbeinu. And unless you have the union of the two, you can even with Emes Amunah, you can also make a blunder. And that's the story of what's happening around here with this whole Indian, what happens here, and why they made all these unbelievable elevated errors. I mean, they were elevated errors. They weren't just grow up a nourish guy. Yeah, they were elevated errors. But they cost the Jewish people unbelievable price. It's just a price that has no end. And the same thing with us today. And I saw in another sefer, and with that we complete the whole business because everybody's saying Adam Mosai. So the Indian is, I saw in another sefer, he says an amazing thing. He was from a mishpocha that they passed away in the Shoya. He and the whole his whole city, his whole town, all passed away. And he had an opportunity to get away. They could have got him away. They could have saved him. He was a big, tremendous rabbinic figure. And so they could have saved him. But he would have had to leave his, what do you call it, I don't want to enter this business. It's crossfire. I got enough direct fire. I don't need any crossfire. But he could have. They had a whole arrangement. Some big guy that was prepared to save him. But it would have meant he would have to left his family and he would have to left his kehillah. So he said he's not prepared to do it. He said he can't do it. He's not prepared to do it. They had it all arranged, but it's a whole amazing story. The boy already had a whole way of getting him out and everything. The Nazis were all just a few hours away. And so they came to him and they said, listen, Rabbi, you're our Rav. And they said, Kol HaMekayim Nefesh Achas M'Yisrael. You're the whole world for us. And so if we save you, we're saving the whole world. It's unfortunate about these other people. We're all going to cope with it. What can we do? I mean, the unbelievable way their minds were working. Touch a moment. And he said, no. He said, I can't do it. So they said to him, but really, a state, it's written, what we just said here. And he said, yeah, a state of a metaphor of a heart. He said, it's true, that's what's written, but you have to have a heart. That's what he said, you have to have a heart. And so he just went with everybody, and he was killed in the Shoya, together with all these people. Yeah. And the strange thing is that his wife was very ill, and she was anyway dying. But he said he's not going to leave his family, and he meant his relatives and the other people in the household, so he's not prepared to leave. And I mean, she would have died a short time anyway afterwards. It's an unbelievable story. So I'll give you over a vote in his name. Since you guys went today to Yad Vashem, I'll give you over a vote in his name. He said like this. He said that we've got to act according to Hasidus, we've got to act according to all the Inyonim that's taught and everything. But he said we have to go with Kabbalah Soil according to things that we got from our forefathers and from our rabbis and from people. We don't understand why, we don't really know. That's the way our forefathers and our rabbis said that's what we've got to do. Therefore you've got to be a ish, posh with all your knowledge. He said that if you go only according to all the Hasidus and all the Inyonim, but you don't link up with your Rebbe or with your forefathers both together, he said then you can, who knows where you can come. So therefore the Rebbe Rashab said, the famous thing what the Rebbe Rashab said, there was this town Neville, I mentioned this year, there was town Neville. So the Rebbe Rashab said that he prefers a butcher in Neville to a Kremenchuk maskil. There was another big town in Russia called Kremenchuk, and over there was a lot of maskilim. They were big maskilim. They just believed all the understanding and all the people, in all the big Inyonim and all this. And they weren't so much into all the, Inyonim and rabbis, all this sort of stuff. He said, remember, the Rebbe Hashav said he preferred that simple butcher from Neville to the mosque, the biggest mosque from Kremenchuk. So we see that who was it that held together all the Inyanim when things really got tough? Well, those simple people from Neville and those simple Chassidim. Yeah, because they went with the Pashat heroes of the Rebbe, and there were some other great Chassidim. They were also great maskirim, but they were hooked to the Rebbeim, and they were the ones who saved the whole thing, even though some of them didn't manage to save themselves. So we see from that, we learn to all these Yonim and Siddhas, and we realize that that's only a way to help us serve the Eivish and to bring Gilei Elokus in the world. But ultimately, when it comes to key decisions and key direction, we're going to be hooked with Rebbe Melech Mashiach. We're going to be hooked with the other Rebbe, and we're going to be hooked with Avram Yitzchak, Yankiv, and if you don't quite understand and stand on your raisins, you're not meant to know. The Lord there, Tia Bari. And that's the Indian, but the Meraglim, they didn't have that Nakuda. They were Maskilim, and they were Kremenchuk Maskilim. And they were very high. They knew all the Hemsheichim, they knew all the Imam from the Middle Rebbe and from all these things. All some Zagibut. How could I do? But when it came to that Etzim Nakuda, what should we do? Ask Moshe Rabbeinu and then know what to do. That they couldn't figure that out. Also a big memo. You know what we're doing? Oh no, you don't. That's the Nakuda that's hidden, and that's why it all went wrong. In this day and age where we live now, we've got to know that the answer is no. All the citizens, thousands of sperm going out the whole time. I tried to keep up with all the sperm. They can be running around buying sperm, and you've only bought about hundreds of what you could buy. It's very hard to keep up with it. It has knowledge, but you got to know that in the middle is the Rebbe, and he says that you got to bring Moshiach, and even if you don't understand, it's too bad about you, but it'll be good for you. It'll be the best for you in the world. Is go out and tell other people about it, and announce into the world that Moshiach is coming, and that is the answer to these Obamas and Obamas and to all the rest of it, and to all the Muslims and all the Va'adim, Bein Lumiyot, all the Inyanim. Well, that is the answer. One simple, never a catcher, a simple, never a butcher. He's the one that's going to save the world. He's going to save the world. Don't put it there. And remember, that's a message hidden behind the Meraglim. These guys were big times. They were really big times. But they couldn't figure. And that's what the Alter Rebbe said. Moshe Rabbeinu shrayed on the Jewish people. Also, they realized they were on the wrong horse. They were Kremenchuk Maskilim. Got to get out of that. But then they lost at the last minute. They said, wait a minute. Ask Moshe Rabbeinu. Ask him what he said. I mean, the same thing nowadays. You've got to remember, Lubavitcher here, Lubavitcher here. The Rebbe said that's what you got to do. People don't like it. They'll eventually like it. They'll love it. You just got to keep. It's got to keep being honest and push it like that fellow Neville Akatchev. I don't know if he's that poor. According to what the Rebbe says, and announcing Gula Shlema and Shrei Yichya. The Rebbe said to Shrei Yichya Melech. It's not our business. He said to say Yichya Melech. The Rebbe said. That's in the Kudas Ha'inyan. And Ali Days there, Bilti Shum Sofi, that you guys went to see today, this Yad Vashem, that will all become Botel. And Cholila V'chas will never be anything more of that nature at all, because Melech HaMashiach will be standing in the Beis HaMikdash HaShlishi on the roof. At the beginning, he's going to stand on the roof. And he's going to announce to the whole world at the time of the Geulah of my children. Who are these children? The Jewish people. And that's what we said last night in the Shia, that Yoina ben Amitai, Yoina Hanovi, he was prepared to have Mesilas Nefesh, his whole mission in life. Everything he was prepared to give away for the sake of the Yidden. That's for the Yidden soll sein gut. Chodila b'chasmus on his Chepna Yidden. He was prepared to give everything away for the Father. Wasn't it the Eivish? Oh, he said, if I look after the Yidden, I'm never looking after the Eivish. Omen Keni, he wrote, And Be'ez Hashem, we should go up to Yerushalayim, not to Yad Vashem. And we should go up to Yerushalayim, to Beis HaMikdash HaShlishi, and to the Binyan Adayad, and the Chasna, and the Jewish people with the Rebbe to take of Miyad now. Amen. Ken Yirot.
Rabbeinu Melech HaMashiach Elam Boy.